because I'm off, will you all please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Can I get a roll call?
Mr. Rogan?
Here.
Ms. Smith?
Here.
Supervisor Williams?
Here. Counselor?
Public notice is hereby given that there has been introduced before the Town Board of the Town of Patterson, New York, on July 10, 2024, an amendment to Patterson Town Code to add Chapter 99 entitled Illicit Discharges to Storm Sewers, which amendment will regulate illicit connections and discharges to the MS4 storm drainage system. Now, therefore, pursuant to Section 20 of the Municipal Home Rule Law, the Town Board of the Town of Patterson, New York will hold a public hearing on the aforesaid amendment at the town offices, 1142 Route 311, Patterson, New York, on August 14, 2024, at 7:00 p.m. in the evening of that day, or as soon thereafter as may be held, at which time all persons interested therein shall be heard. The Town Board will make every effort to assure that the hearing is accessible to persons with disabilities. Anyone requiring special assistance and/or reasonable accommodation should contact the town clerk.
So, as the counselor stated, this is a law which regulates illicit discharges. Illicit discharges are any non-stormwater discharges, whether it's from firefighting or pools or anything. Anything that's not related to stormwater runoff. And it's a law that's the town is required to adopt by the New York State DEC under their MS4 permit. They have provided a model law which they expect everybody to adopt. They have required this since 2004. The town has cobbled things together over the years in different sections of our code, but with the new MS4 permit, what I am trying to do here, what we are all trying to do here, excuse me, is to get it all in one place. So it's very clear to the DEC we're in compliance with the requirements that they're making. With that, I will open it up to the public here tonight. If anybody has any questions about this or comments, if you would approach the mic, state your name and address for the record, and state your comment or ask your question. Going once. Everybody gets so excited when we start talking about MS4 stuff.
Only you.
Only me. All right. Hearing no comment here, we'll open it up to anybody joining us tonight by Zoom. If there's anybody joining us by Zoom and you have any questions or comments, if you would unmute and state your name and address for the record.
Motion to close the public hearing?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Okay. On the reports, I will make a motion that we accept the code compliance, code enforcement, dog control officer, Putnam Lake Fire Department, and Patterson Rec Department reports. Oh, I'm sorry. The others were for July 2024. The Patterson Rec is for April 2024. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And the supervisor's report for June 2024. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And on the town board meeting minutes, make a motion we approve July 10th, 2024. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And on July 24th, Donna, if you could just make one change that I missed on the first read, I apologize. Under July 24th, replacement of computers, it shows that I recused, but I made the motion on that. It's just a typo from
July 24th.
I think it was that I recused myself from the vote
You,
on the refund, which was
from
for
building
myself.
department,
Yeah.
yep.
Thank you so much. So motion
Okay.
with that amendment to thank you, approve those minutes. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I'll make a motion that we approve the summary of abstract number 14 in the amount of $503,354.45. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. I was going to do that.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. You want to do it?
No, do you
I'll
want me
take
to
it
go?
back.
No.
All right, well, who's going to do the budget
Next
transfers?
time, I'll do the budget transfers.
Fair enough.
I have budget transfer request number 20. This is the effective date is August 14th, 2024, and this budget transfer is necessary to allocate additional funds for the Veterans Park Utilities account. So we'd like to take from the expense account $3,250 and put it into the expense account, park contractual utilities, $3,250. I'll make a motion to approve budget transfer request number 20. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Our last budget adjustment request is number 21. This is also effective date of August 14th, 2024. This adjustment is necessary to allocate funds for the wastewater treatment plant equipment account for the replacement of two AP3 feed accounts. We will be increasing the appropriated fund balance account by $42,000 and increasing the sewage treat disposal equipment expense account $42,000. I'll make a motion to approve budget adjustment request number 21. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, first item, 26 Quaker Manor Road. We have a request from our building department director of code enforcement, Bob McCarthy. There is a property that has gone into disrepair for many, many years, and it's taken the town a lot of resources to keep on top of the property owner and the banks and et cetera. And it is now at a point where the owners are basically walking away from the property and not claiming any responsibility for upkeep, but is becoming a hazard for our community. Mr. McCarthy is requesting that the town step in and basically hire a contractor to secure the home pursuant to sections of our town code that allow for this. Of course, the money that would be paid for this would then be charged back to the property. Typically, those are claimed when the property goes through foreclosure or others. That would be an expense that would be paid, correct?
Correct.
So he has sent notice of violation to the property owner with an order to remedy, and of course that has gone without compliance. Rich, do we have anybody that you'd like to consider using for this?
Well,
Or are we
this is a very,
sticky?
sticky and challenged situation. The property owner essentially walked away from the property some 15 years ago. And it's been sitting there with the bank, not really, I mean, they did a foreclosure proceeding, but never have done anything since, other than they keep transferring, the,
Servicing agent.
they transfer it around.
Right.
They've never made any attempt to get this back on the tax rolls, any attempt to sell off the assets, and on it goes. And, while I agree that we need to take some action, I'm concerned exactly what we're going to do, because we're going to go up there and board it up, and the bank's going to continue to act irresponsibly, in my opinion. And if people are indeed going up there, I'm not exactly sure who's going up there, but if they are, they're likely to tear down whatever we put up, and we're going to have to go put it up because the banks are continuing to act irresponsibly. And listen, I'm ready to take a much stronger action if we can take it. Maybe that's something we need to talk about with our attorney. But listen, I'd go so far as to take the property at this point, and damn be everybody.
Yeah, so to further what Rich was saying, we've had the current servicing, or the last known servicing agent for the mortgage company told us that the property was transferred and indicated it was to a third party, but I haven't seen any evidence that the property was bank owned, that it could be transferred to a third party. There was a foreclosure proceeding, but it doesn't ever look like it was finalized. I reached out to the last attorney of record for the bank, who never responded to me to say what's going on with the foreclosure proceeding. FYI, there's unsafe conditions in the building. We believe there's been break-ins. No response to date. And the servicing agent is now telling us we're not the servicing agent. We have no ability to get a hold of anyone else. The property owner of record, Ms. Cobden, said, I have nothing to do with the property. I haven't had anything to do with the property in years. So the town's been kind of gone through a runaround as a result of that. If you do, in the short term, wish to declare it unsafe, you would have to have a public hearing before engaging that contractor. But certainly we can talk about alternatives, whether it be tonight in executive session or going forward. One of the things I did share with Rich is that Kent has a registry for vacant and foreclosed properties and bank-owned properties, and it gives the town the ability, by local law, and it gives the town the ability to impose additional violations on banks and the owners of abandoned properties that don't register them or are not complying with the code as far as maintaining those buildings and structures, which is another thing to consider if the town wants to do that. There is a cost to the mortgage company or the owner who has a vacant property. In order to be placed on that registry, there's a fee, and Kent has a servicing provider that they use to enforce that law. They use the funds from the registration fees in order to use that service provider so that it's not coming out of the town's hands. But it is something that, of course, can be handled in-house also with the appropriate fees in order to assist with the additional cost to the towns in enforcing that.
All fun.
All right, so, again, before we went forward on this, we'd have to get, a certified individual to go in and do an evaluation of the property. I think, I've got a couple of ideas I would like to throw at the attorney before we go forward with this. If not, then we're gonna, we'll go down that road.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
I'm just leery about, we're gonna do anything and it's gonna just not solve the problem up there. And the only thing that's gonna solve the problem is to take the bank out of the equation. So,
Yeah. It's amazing banks sit on these properties, but it's not relevant to them. This is a rather large home. Quaker Manor's a newer subdivision. Newer,
Yeah.
within the last 30 years.
Mhm.
So, okay. Next item we have relates, and we spoke about this last meeting in reference to the lead service line inventory that's required by the federal government for community water supplies, and the need to determine what the makeup of those water supply components are. So in reference to Alpine Acres, the lead line survey, with some pending timeframes in place, we're looking at approval for excavating valve boxes, and essentially they do that instead of with a machine. They do that by vacuum because you don't want to break what you're trying to inspect and create more problem. So we have a quote from Gallagher Construction to vacuum excavate the 16 valve boxes at $1,000 a piece and replace the curb box at the road and the curb valve. So we have $1,000 per curb box for excavation, $125 to replace the curb box and rod, and the curb valve at $1,275 each. So I'd like to make a motion.
So if I could just interject
Yeah,
really
did we
quick.
get anybody else on it?
So I am asking for because we need to
Yep.
move on this, I'm asking for the board to approve the
amounts,
amount,
right,
but
not
not the
necessarily.
contractor.
Okay.
Okay.
Makes sense in case we get another contractor that comes in. So these would be an approval for the maximum amounts as stated in the supervisor's memo dated August 14th, as the amount stated below. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Just for the public's knowledge, this is a mandate that is coming down from the federal government to the state government to our local health department, to the towns, to ensure that there are no lead service lines. Well, we are testing the water constantly for lead already, and we know there's no lead service lines. We're not getting any hits whatsoever on lead. Still, they're looking for us to spend, in this case, it's gonna run somewhere around $25,000 for the folks up in Alpine Water District for doing this lead line survey. Insane. And it is not going to improve anybody's water one iota.
Yeah, this is a great example of an unfunded mandate that's unnecessary.
I agree.
Yeah, we know. Keep the lead paint out of children's mouths and we save more people. It's not a water supply issue, but it's big government doing what they do best, and us having to figure out how to contend with it.
Yes.
So I agree. Next up, we have in our Veterans Memorial Park here on Maple Avenue, we had an amazing caretaker, Tyler Whitcomb, that was with us for 8 years?
2016,
Yeah, about the-
2017.
About the last 8
About
years. And he did a fantastic job maintaining that park. He has now decided to move on and buy a house of his own. He has a big family, doesn't quite fit in the house, and Tyler deserves phenomenal accolades from this town because he has really put his heart and soul into that park, and he's just such a wonderful young man. I really couldn't be more proud of him and really happy that he has built the family that he always wanted and is moving on. So in doing so, we have looked at hiring a new Memorial Park caretaker and who is on site and taking care of that park. So I have a resolution which would appoint Mr. Timothy Whalen to that position. I'd like to ask that this resolution be entered into the record as though read. So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
I know Tim is going to do a fantastic job. We know him well in the town. And we have a repair payment request for our ambulance number 36-7-1, which is our 2017 Ford Transit ambulance, and it was repairs that were needed immediately, obviously, through Brewster Ford, and it was for some repair issues that were noted. The amount of the invoice is $2,999.90. I'd like to ask that this expense be approved to be paid. So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And there's also a proposal for a new ambulance to replace the one that we just repaired, because obviously these things age out, so we need to consider this. These are big expense items. We have a whole bunch of expenditures related to making sure that we have ambulances that are appropriately outfitted with all the gear necessary, and these are not cheap. For instance, we have a proposal for a Town of Patterson EMS for a 2024 or newer trauma Hawk ambulance, and these run in the neighborhood of $366,000. So anyone that thinks that EMS is cheap is wrong. But what's the lead time on these things that when we order them?
18 to 24 months.
Okay, 18 to 24 months. So this is part of our budgeting for EMS, and I guess for tonight we're just looking for the appropriations. And
We're looking to approve moving forward with the purchase of a ambulance as specified within our EMS administrator's memo.
yeah, so I will make the motion for the approval of that expenditure per Bobby Kearns, our EMS administrator's memo dated August 7th, 2024, with the outlined specificity for the ambulance and all of this has things like the Stryker stretcher that goes in, the lettering that has to be put on, all the lights and sirens and all the things that need to be done for an ambulance in the amount of $366,259. So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye. But in the end of the day, it is money well spent because we save lives.
We do save lives. Okay, we're back to MS4. We had a public hearing earlier tonight on local law number 3, illicit discharge. At this time, I would like to introduce a resolution of adoption for local law number 3 and ask that it be entered into the record as though read. So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We, last meeting, had a request to amend our zoning to allow for short-term rentals. We had a little bit of a discussion. Is anybody here tonight interested in short-term rentals? Okay.
How about we short-term rent in Quaker Manor?
We can try to do that.
Probably has some short-time renters in there. They're just raccoons, I bet, at this time.
Yeah. Honestly, my opinion on this hasn't changed. I see the value to our town, and at some point in the future, it may be something we want to consider. But if you've got a short-term rental with unruly people who are just looking to have a good time, but the neighbors don't appreciate they're having a good time. We don't have the ability to enforce that. I mean, we don't have a 24/7 police force, and that's really what you need to manage short-term rentals. And so I, for one, am not willing to move forward with this at this time.
I think without more information of what other models are working really well in our neighboring towns and examples that we can look at, I would tend to agree.
I agree as well. I mean, we had a lot of concerns we brought up the last meeting, and, you know, I'm not comfortable with moving forward on that as well.
Okay. Back to MS4. So one of the requirements of the new MS4 permit is the town needs to submit a 5-year plan for doing stormwater retrofit improvements to the DEC by December 31st. In the past, we've done it a couple of different ways. We've hired consultants. The last time we did it, we were working with 18 of our fellow municipalities within the East of Hudson watershed. We also, for those of you who don't know, have created a not-for-profit corporation to deal with the stormwater retrofits. I think to date, we've spent a little over $60 million in doing stormwater retrofits in the East of Hudson watershed, and they are looking for us to go down the road of spending another $60,000, though they are not looking to fund it at this time. We came up with a scenario where the municipalities are all going to, again, pool their resources to try to get a plan put together. We've estimated it's going to cost around $100,000 if everybody agrees to participate. And Patterson's share of that plan would be $8,074.51. And I'd like to make a motion to approve the expenditure of $8,074.51 to the East of Hudson Watershed Corporation for the preparation of a stormwater retrofit plan for the general permit for MS4s. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we had some equipment that had reached its end of its useful life. We put it up on Auctions International, which is a practice we have done frequently in the past. Two of the pieces of equipment came in with a very good price. One of them in particular, the Crafco crack sealer, was considerably more than we paid for it when we bought it. And we have a recommendation to accept those awards. And then we had two pieces of equipment, a old recycling truck and a cabin chassis, a Ford 350 cabin chassis, which the bids came in very, very low, so we've counter-offered, which is the process that we need to do. Should the individuals wishing to purchase those equipments meet our counter-offer, then we would then also sell those pieces of equipment as well. I have a resolution here approving the Auction International bids, and I'd like to ask that it be entered into the record as though read. So moved.
Second.
Any opposed? All right, that's done. And I ended up with a conference request. All right, so this is a conference request we have actually already approved for our Justice Court clerks to go to class. What was left out is the $40 for the taxi to go from the train station to the conference center. So I'd like to make a motion to amend the prior conference request form to include $40 for taxi service. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I have one more. Our assessor is looking to take a class critiquing appraisals for assessment challenges. It's an online class. and the amount is $110,000, and I'd like to approve the.
$110.
$110, what'd I say?
110,000.
110,000 is a good class.
We're
I
canceling
want that
Christmas.
class. I want to be the teacher.
Yes, it's $110, and I'd like to make a motion to approve our assessor taking the class online for $110. So moved.
Second.
I've been doing budget things for 2 days now, and I'm dealing with tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars. All right, and that is it for me.
Okay. I have a couple letters of resignation. First one being from an Patterson EMS employee, effective immediately, from Mr. James D. Pietratantomio. He's grateful for the opportunities and experience he had, but unfortunately, he needs to resign from his position from the Patterson EMS. I'd like to make a motion to approve James' resignation as of 8/7/2024, the date of this letter. So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Second, I have a resignation from one of our park board members, Ms. Perla Granados. Unfortunately, as a working mom with school-age children, she didn't realize the dedication that she would need and would take a lot of time away from her family. So she very sadly resigns. I'd like to make a motion to accept Perla Granados effective August 1st, 2024. So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye. Next, we had a letter of interest. We actually did an interview. I think we're
That was
moving
nice.
forward. He was a very nice
Yeah.
man. I think he'd be an excellent addition to the board, replacing Ms. Granados. So I have a resolution in front of me for Nicholas T. Nelson Jr. to become our newest member of the Putnam Lake Park Advisory Board. I'd like to make a motion to enter this resolution into the record as though read. So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We have a change of a date for Mr. Capasso. The planning department has received a request to change the date of his auction at his property located on Route 22 from August 27th to September 17th. So I'd like to make a motion to approve the new date and the settlement agreement between the town and Mr. Capasso. So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye. Next, we have some emergency vehicle operation training. Mr. Bobby Kearns would like to send at least 5 of his employees to attend this training. I think it's a great training. It's emergency vehicle operation. I guess they go over, the risks and the courses and to provide safe vehicle driving. It's not a driving course, but it's actually a course to teach them defensive driving when they're driving the ambulances. It's $2,000 for all 5. And also, Mr. Kearns would like to send an ambulance over to assist with the training over at the 9/11 Center. So I'd like to make a motion to approve $2,000 for the emergency vehicle operation and the use of our ambulance over at the training center. So moved.
Discussion.
Okay.
Mr. Kearns has not gotten back to me about who's covering the insurance, because this is a hands-on class.
Mhm.
So I am not willing to send one of our ambulances over for somebody who's not insured by the town.
So are they keeping it on the property?
I couldn't care whether they're keeping it on the property. The issue is somebody who's not insured by the town driving our ambulance potentially in a driver training, and if there's an accident, who's
So
going to
why don't
cover
we
the
just
cost?
limit the approval to our own employees using our equipment? And if it's different than that, then it's a no-go.
Well, we can do that if you want.
Well, I think that he hasn't reached out to the insurance company, because I believe if you keep it on the property and they don't go out onto the roadway, you should be fine with insurance. That would be something that you should look into. So we'll hold off on that. The date of the training is it's in September, so
5th.
we have plenty of time. So I'll approve $2,000 for
Right.
all 5 attending the training, with the hold on the approval
Well,
of
the
the
location
ambulance.
is the Bureau of Emergency Services, so
Yeah.
it's not on our property, it's on their property.
Right,
Right,
but
so,
I'm saying
yeah,
it's really private, it's county
Yeah.
property,
Oh, I
it's
got you.
private,
Yeah.
it's not on a public roadway.
Right. Yeah. Second on the motion.
I'm just bringing that up because
Yeah.
I know that we've gone to a lot of trainings in Albany with school buses and we've never left the property and insurance has covered us.
Gotcha.
But I don't know if, you know, if there could be, if someone got hurt. So I think that it's something to definitely investigate. So I got a second on the 2,000?
You did.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Putnam Lake Fire Department, new members. Pleased to say that we have a lot of interest in joining Putnam Lake Fire Department. Mr. Eric Jacobson, Carl Brenner, Matt Jones, and Tyler Rodriguez would like to be our newest members of the Putnam Lake Fire Department. I'd like to make a motion to enter this resolution into the record as though read and pending all qualifications to be as active volunteers with said department, including without limitation, having passed all physical and fitness tests required. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Done?
I guess so.
Other business. So I'd like to announce that the Patterson Fire Department is having their annual book sale on their property, September 21st through 29th.
I dropped off a big box of books the other day, and it's nice they have the pod set up. You can just open it up, set your box in there, and good to go. It's nice.
I like book sales.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I like getting rid of books even more if I don't read them.
I like when I find books that someone's made a note in.
Yeah.
Depends on the notes.
I have this set of dictionaries I got at a used bookstore when I was in college, and they were a wedding gift to someone.
Oh, that's
Oh,
nice.
that's nice.
Okay, Assemblyman Matt Slater is having a senior resource fair. He's got a couple of dates here. Tuesday, September 24th, he will be hosting the Senior Resource Fair at the Jefferson Valley Community Center from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Tuesday, October 8th, he will be hosting the Senior Resource Fair here in the Patterson Recreation Center from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. All right, lastly for me, I'd like to have an executive session at the end of the meeting to talk about a couple of contract issues that we have to deal with, and I'd like to invite Mrs. Carney into executive session with us.
Sorry.
That's all right.
Okay.
All right.
Thought I had it on silent. It's Christmas.
All right, public recognition. I will open the meeting up to public recognition if any person here wishes to address the board. If you approach and state your name and address for the record.
It's Melissa and John Paddock, and we're at 7 Newburgh Road.
To the
Yep.
mic.
We're at 7 Newburgh Road in Putnam Lake. I've been in touch with Bob McCarthy back and forth quite a bit. I don't know, we're talking about property 2/4 Newburgh Road. 2 is an abandoned house that is up for auction. 4 is a garage with a gentleman living in a camper. And he's running a generator 24 hours a day. It's very obnoxious, the noise. I called the health department. They came out because I'm grabbing at straws trying to get this guy just to get normal. And the health department said it's not zoned for living, and they issued him a summons because he doesn't have a septic. But I'm really more concerned about the noise. He could live in that camper for the rest of his life. I just won't look at it, but the noise has to stop. And I was told by Bob that there's a certain number that has to be met in order to consider it a noise ordinance. I
Correct.
think it's 46. And he told me that we don't have somebody certified to come out and do a decibel reading.
So there's a few more issues with our noise
Okay.
ordinance that was brought to our attention about 6 weeks ago, and we're
That's
currently
when I called.
we're currently in the process of redoing our noise ordinance. Now, I want to say our noise ordinance, I kind of stole from Bedford, who seems to have stolen from Carmel, and we all have basically the same noise ordinance, and then our prosecutor let us know that it's not enforceable. for a variety of reasons, not just the fact that, you know, we need to get somebody certified, which we can do. But I've got to rewrite the law, and I've been trying to do that and get that done. And I learned about the issue, I've known about 2 and 4 Newburgh Road being an illegal subdivision for quite some time.
Yeah.
I just found out about the individual living in the garage when I got your email.
Yeah, yeah.
And that was a bit of a surprise. And I think the solution here is to get that individual off the property, one way or the other.
So, and that's the other thing that I was, you know, just in my, because it's so obnoxious what's going on over there. And when he was living in the garage, all the neighbors just kind of just didn't pay attention to him because it was just, he's got a situation, we're not sure of it, we're just gonna move on our way. But in the last, I would say the last month, there's a camper now, there's tents set up, there's generators running, I'm not sure. He said he's dumping he told the health department he's dumping his septic, his waste into the septic next door. I'm not sure. I mean, I just know that we can't keep having this go on with him. And taxes, I'm not sure, is he paying taxes? Because, I mean,
No.
then that should be an easy solution. If he's not, because then it should be foreclosed on.
Well, believe it or not, nothing in New York State is easy when it comes to enforcement, at least at a local level.
We see properties that foreclosure takes, well, look, what were we just saying, the one on Manor Road,
Yeah.
15 years they haven't been
Yeah.
paying. The process is, now in this case, maybe the bank hasn't taken but even other properties we've seen 7, 8 years. It's so unconscionable that all of us do our hard work to pay our bills, right? And there's people that don't do that, and the system stinks. It really does.
Well, is it illegal? Can somebody live in a trailer on a piece
Could
of
we
property?
just get your name for the record?
Sure. My name is John Paddock.
Okay,
So it's
thank
a-
you.
Yeah, sure.
So is it legal?
Yeah, that's
So
what it is.
he's living on a piece of property technically in an accessory structure with no principal structure, so no, it is not legal.
Right, because that's what we keep saying. What's to stop anybody from buying these auction pieces, these lands,
And
and
just
just
throwing a
backing a
trailer.
trailer in?
Right.
I mean, if this doesn't get corrected, then we're going to have that same thing happening.
Right.
And believe it or not, this is not the only one over in Putnam Lake where we have this issue. We have one up off of Fairfield where he pulled in a sea container and started living out of the sea container. And we've tried to enforce that. There's a bench warrant out for him, and he's still there. So I understand your frustration. You got my ear. I met with a representative from the health department today. I was not happy with the answers I got, which was basically, we're very limited in what we can enforce based on health department regulations because he's not doing anything unsafe, even though they issued a violation.
Well, there's a septic issue, though. I mean,
Listen, it was a very long conversation about, you know, he has no permission to just use a bucket and take it over to the adjacent property owner that he
Yeah.
has no permission to use and dump it in their septic system.
yeah.
And it's a health issue. You know, what's he gonna do? It's a health issue.
Right.
So, I also have scheduled a meeting on Friday with the town's prosecutor to talk about this case and a couple of others on it and how best to proceed. Because what we need to do is we need to get this individual off of the property.
Yes.
And Rich, I wasn't aware of what was being done with the waste, but I do have contact for the bank from when the whole foreclosure was going on, their attorney, so I'm going to reach out to them because if they have the property in auction, I'm sure they want to know about the trespass.
Yeah.
And they will want to be involved as well in that discussion.
Yeah, because it recently went up again for purchase, and there were a bunch of people looking at it, and if you go on the Realtor's website, it says pending. So,
I don't know if
purchased
somebody
it or
actually
just-
tried to purchase that piece of property, but that's just going to make things even more wild over there. So in the meantime, my biggest, I think again, he lived in a garage for 10-something years and nobody batted an eye because we just didn't want to be bothered with it. But the noise now, the generator, I'm not even, he can live in the camper, I don't care, whatever, I'll just close my eyes. But the generator, it's like living in an MRI machine. It's got to stop. I don't know what can happen here.
He lived in the garage for 10 years?
He did, maybe even longer. He's been there for that long. I think he purchased the property because when he backed the camper in, I was curious, so I pulled up the property and I read every lawsuit, every case. I think he purchased it in 2010. So he's been living there legally in a trailer and a slash garage since 2010.
I will promise you, we're gonna do our best to remedy the issue. I don't know what the exact solution's gonna be, but you've got our ear.
So I just have a question now. So he's in the garage for 10 years. Where was he dumping his waste for 10 years?
I don't know. And again, that probably the same place. Which again, now that septic tank has got to be pretty full in that abandoned house. If he's just dumping literal crap in there for the last 15 years. Now I got a letter that I had to submit record that I had my septic pump, to the town. Like, if he's using that, then he should somebody has to take care of that septic then.
Yeah, the bank is going to want to be aware of this because in marketing their property, people are going to run title reports on the bank property and they're going to become aware of these issues. So they'll have to be notified. So they're going to be very interested in what's going on, and they potentially have a private cause of action against him. So that's another avenue that
All this
perhaps
takes
will
time, though.
assist.
We've got to find a code.
Yes.
So
Yes.
also, Jamie, does it come into play that is the vehicle registered and insured?
Well,
Is
he
it
drives the camper or his actual car?
The
camper
camper.
has no
Sorry.
plates.
Mhm.
Because that was my
Parked
next
on his
thing. I'll make it
property,
a
so-
DMV.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, the camper came about maybe a year and a half ago, and it was in the driveway. And then somebody had a conversation with him, possibly in April. And then he, in the middle of the night, he towed it onto this vacant property, onto his open property. He cut down some trees. He was cutting down something today.
Yeah,
I
as
don't
we
know,
left, he was
it was-
drilling into something. I'm not sure. I think he's probably going to try to put his own septic in, is what I think, because that was what he got fined from the health department for, not having a septic.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sorry that you're going through
Yeah.
that. And
That's okay.
I know
like
the
said,
supervisor will do whatever he can to help
Yeah,
you.
I just the noise, like it's literally just it's
Yeah.
maddening. So
Yeah.
I just if we could figure out a way to make that stop, that would be like huge, huge.
Yeah.
I mean, I just I don't
When
know.
did the generator issue start? How long ago? Was it summertime, a
Um,
summertime issue?
4 weeks.
4 weeks.
Yeah.
It's been 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming
So you
he's
probably
running
running
it
a refrigerator.
for air
and-
conditioning,
Yeah.
for, and like I said, we have our ACs on right now, so we don't really hear it all that much unless we're outside. But
Yeah.
come the winter, when he's running it for heat, like I'm
Right.
getting up at 4:30 in the morning to go to work. I'm gonna get a little disgruntled soon.
Sure.
Like if I'm not getting my sleep, it's gonna be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've been in contact with some of the other neighbors that are impacted, and they say
Right.
the same thing. They can come
Yeah.
tonight, but, it
Yeah.
could be, if you need additional emails to you about the issue,
And it's a shame because they make such quiet little, like the small Honda 2000 watt generators. If it was running here, you wouldn't hear it from where you're standing. They're
this
that
is-
quiet.
Yeah.
But this is much
This is
different.
not bad. This is a
Imagine
monster.
imagine the amount of gasoline that he's.
Yeah.
I mean, to run a generator all
Yeah.
the time is incredibly expensive.
Yes.
Probably old.
And not only that too, it's in the day, and then it'll go on at 1 or 2
1 in the morning.
Oh, so it does
Oh,
turn
yeah.
on and off.
Oh yeah.
Right, well, I think he turns it on and off. I
Gotcha.
think he puts it-
Yep.
That's-
Bad situation. It also underscores the difficulties that people are having in life, and I know you're not without compassion for
Right.
that.
And that's why we didn't bother him
Right.
for however many years he lived in the garage.
Have
It
you? When was
just-
the last time you spoke to him?
I honestly, Bob McCarthy asked me that same thing, and I said to him, I don't speak to him because I question the mental
Yeah, you don't feel
state
comfortable,
of
and that's
somebody's
understandable.
mental state for
Yeah.
living in a trailer.
'Cause sometimes-
I mean,
Sometimes people don't realize, even though you think they should, they don't realize they're hurting or impacting other people. Now you think, well, the guy, if he's had the health department or Bobby McCarthy, he now understands, but they don't understand sometimes the human element to that. And so I'm not suggesting you go over, I was just curious, because there are certain, again, none of us are without compassion for
Yeah.
people going through difficulties.
Yeah.
And sometimes the community reaching out to someone can make all the difference in the world, and the absence of that can also make all the difference in the world, So it's just a difficult situation.
yeah. Well, that's our story. So, well,
Thank you. Thank
I'm
you.
sure I'll be here again next meeting. Next one. Hopefully not. This will be my permanent seat. Awesome, cool. Already transfer center? Okay.
Yeah, you just need to come up to the mic.
Name and address for the record.
Stephen Beach, 113 Oak Road. Noise ordinance as well. I spoke to Lou Taney, his boss as well, several times. Enforcement of dirt bikes going up and down the street, riding across the property. Ordinance is what, 65 decibels. It's a vacuum cleaner. This guy's definitely louder than that. Same thing, I've been talking to him every single day, like hounding him. Probably the reason why you guys are also discussing the code with the lawyer. Very confused as to how you can enforce it. Supposedly,
Motorcycles are so tough because we've had so many complaints over the years from people down in the swamp area, and they'll say at the property line what the decibel. It's annoying. You know it. You know
It
it when
is,
you hear
but
it.
I find it very
But
simple to
enforcement
fix.
is so difficult. It could be somebody even shooting guns on their property. They can be legal, but enforcing whether or not they're breaking some noise ordinance. These are difficult issues.
The problem is the moving vehicles on the road.
Yeah, that's
And I will tell you, they go by your house, then they go by mine,
Right.
yeah,
right? And it's not just the dirt bikes, it's the ATVs.
Yeah.
that's correct. They're both, and both
Oh, yeah.
exceed, both exceed, they're both illegal.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
And neither one of them, I can't get the troopers or the town to do anything. They
Yeah.
both say, call him, call him. Nobody wants to do anything.
No, the sheriffs and the state troopers have a policy, they won't chase them down because if they get in an
Yeah.
accident while
Yeah.
they're chasing them down,
And they could be liable, I understand. I have
Yeah.
security cameras, I've showed the gentleman
Yeah.
several times.
Yeah.
Neither one still wants to do anything.
yeah, so if they're doing it on their property, right, then the town can take an action, but if they're on the road,
That's law enforcement.
yeah, that's law
Yeah.
But on
enforcement.
the town, on the property, the town still can't do something.
If they've got a track on their property and they're running around on the track, then we can do something.
On a track or just driving?
Well,
around
it doesn't
the property?
matter. On their property. If
All
you're
right.
riding an ATV or a
Then-
motorcycle on your own property,
Okay,
it
so
only
then-
comes back to noise ordinance only during certain hours of the day. Like there's times of the day I can run a chainsaw on my property and I would exceed that decibel level and I'd be perfectly legal. But I don't do it at 12 o'clock at night, right? So within the code, there are times of day when you're allowed to make noise on your property. You would hope that people, again, would be neighborly and not do it all the time, but especially this time of year with kids being home from school,
Yeah,
they're
I
running
believe
their.
with chainsaws, snowmobiles, that's all emergency, correct?
No.
Not with permit?
Chainsaw's not an emergency. I could run construction equipment or chainsaws or
So
anything
the
on my
dirt bikes
property.
are allowed at any time, I believe in the.
Not
in
any
the
time, I
code.
didn't say that. I'm saying that that's what the code specifies within the noise ordinance, that there are times that you're allowed to make noise and there are times that you're not allowed. And under those circumstances, the challenge then is how do we take those readings so that they're admissible in court? And that's wherein lies the sticky point that the supervisor's trying to remedy.
Which is 65 decibels, correct?
I don't remember it offhand, I don't know.
65 decibels.
Yeah.
65 decibels,
Yeah.
and after 8 or 9
Yeah.
o'clock,
Yeah.
it's 42
So-
decibels,
Right.
which is
Right,
human conversation.
Right.
right.
So-
They are breaking the code, I'm just wondering why they can't enforce it.
So if they're on their property, no track, they're driving around their house,
Yeah,
we can enforce that.
yeah.
They go out onto the road, which is our problem because they're going down Old Road, down Old Route 22, down Big Elm,
Yeah.
cutting in that little driveway that was put in, going up over the hill and coming back out in Apple Hill.
And is the issue that you guys are having with the lawyer, because Lou said he can't enforce it because he's not certified, which I'm confused.
So Lou, I'll talk to Lou in the morning, but the issue isn't that, I mean, if you're telling me they're on a piece of property,
Yeah.
right? Are they?
They're 2 houses over, and then utilizing the house over just to
All right.
F with us.
Supervisor at pattersonny.org, if you send me the addresses, I'll look into that.
Yeah.
And if we can get them on their property, we can do that. But if they're on the road, which is my
Which
problem,
is the state,
without
yeah.
helmets, without,
Mm.
you know, I actually chased one of them down one time and knocked on the door and talked to the parents who
They don't care.
got upset with me.
Yeah.
Didn't care.
So if I email you with the address and the issues?
Yes, I'll talk to
I keep
Lou
asking
about
with
it.
Lou, and he's like, my hands are tied, my hands are tied. I'm like, what is the email I can reach you at?
Supervisor at pattersonny.org. If you forget it or miss it, it's on the website.
Yeah, even the meeting tonight, I'm like, how the heck do I find this? It's the first time I've looked it up. First time having lousy neighbors, unfortunately.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Uh,
I don't understand how parents buy motorcycles for kids with no
Well, because
idea
the
where they're
trouble
gonna
is
ride them though.
Yeah, he's 23, he's not even a child anymore.
Yeah,
So the same thing with the troopers, he rides up and down the street, he's like,
Yeah.
well, I have to catch him. I'm like, well, my camera shows him going right now.
right.
It takes him 2 hours to get there, so I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do now?
Yeah.
And I call you, and it's just back and forth.
Yeah, it's
So,
frustrating.
You have said you might have a change in the code. Is that gonna be an upcoming thing that we could come to?
Yes.
To listen to? Do you know when that would be?
I don't, because I'm only a third of the way through, and every time I start to work on it, we have
Something else
another,
happens.
we have another problem.
Is it, would you say maybe deemed more in our favor or more against it, more harder to push legally?
Yeah, and so hopefully it's gonna be easier to enforce.
That's exactly what I was looking for. If you need funding, I'll help you. I would gladly help you at this point.
Thank
That's
you
all-
for your
that's all I
comments.
have.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Rich, I just want to ask a question. So if you know where they live, could we get the state police to just go to the house and speak with the parents? Do you think that that's-
That causes more of an issue. Troopers did that to me, and they just went up to raise my tree line, just grabbed it for 15 minutes. I called the cops. The cops said, well, maybe we can get him for harassment, but it's on property, call the town. It's 6 o'clock at
come
night,
on.
Lou's home, hang out at dinner with his family. So, like, what am I gonna do?
So I'm driving down Old Route 22, right?
Yeah.
And I don't drive that slow, right? This kid on a dirt bike passes me, no helmet, on the corner.
Oh, it's probably him.
And I follow him. He was up in Apple Hill. I follow him up to his house. I knock on the mother's door. I'm saying, "This is what your son just did. He's risking his life. I mean, what are you thinking?" And they got upset with me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought he's another child that stopped after I kind of got off. He was a little more respectful and stayed on his road.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then I lost my mailbox 5 times.
That's
Oh.
that's why I got cameras.
Yeah.
Boy.
So.
No one really wants mail, though.
Does anybody else here wish to address the board on any issue tonight? George, you're up.
Hello, George.
George Disbrow, Tammany Hall Road. No issues, but I would like to point out to the town board and everyone else up here, if you don't think people are paying attention, when you said $110,000, you should have heard the reaction. It's like a hot mic up there, so you guys got to be careful. All right.
George,
So noted.
my recollection is that libraries are generally good at enforcing noise ordinances.
Oh, yeah,
That's
we
true.
just pick them up by the scruff of the neck, just toss them out the...
That's why George is in the gym so much, you see this guy.
I encourage everybody to go to our website, see all the great programs we have going on for toddlers, teens, adults. I just have a little variety here of the rather more interesting programs that we have going on in the next couple of months. We have a seed harvesting program that will be coming up September 10th. And we have people coming from the Cornell Master Gardeners, very reputable people there. That's one. We have a musical evening with Tara O'Grady. I will point out to you that this is almost full at this point, and this isn't until September 19th. She does a marvelous job, so please come to that. I'm not sure if this is for everybody, but the art of dressing. We're trying to reach out to some of our fashionistas within the town of Patterson and the surrounding areas. And we have a professional stylist who is coming in on Tuesday, September 24th. Proper way to dress yourself, especially with the change of seasons coming up. And the last one, which is, we hear so much on the news about people having a hard time with buying their homes, whether it be mortgage rates or just the amount of down payments that are involved. So we have some people coming in from Tiffany Kilpatrick from the community housing, and they will be coming in and talking about the path to home ownership. That's not until October, so we have lots of time for that. That will be an evening program. I'd like to just send out a quick pitch for if anyone who is interested, whether they be here or at home, or anybody who's going to watch this, who would like to be interested in volunteering at the library as a trustee, please go to the website and check it out and see if it might be something you would like to do. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, George.
Thank you.
All right, at this time, I'd like to turn to our members, our audience who is joining us by Zoom. If anyone wishes to make any comment or ask any questions of the board, if you would unmute, state your name and address for the record, and ask your question or make your comment. Motion to go into executive session?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.